Mary's Meals Donegal and Ireland. You're very welcome, Father Kelly. Can you tell us a little bit about Mary's Meals?
Mary's Meals is a lovely organisation. It's a school feeding programme for the developing world. It began in 2002. Magnus McFarlane Barrow from Dalmally in Scotland was on a trip to Malawi. During the course of that trip he was invited to visit a lady who was unfortunately dying of AIDS. Emma was her name, and Emma had 6 children. In the course of the visit, Emma asked Magnus to pray that somebody would take care of her children because she knew her time on earth was short. Magnus guaranteed her that he would pray for that intention, and then he turned to Edward, her oldest boy, 14 years of age, and asked Edward a question that all of us adults have asked children down through the years. Edward, what would you like to do in life? And Edward's answer said, I would like to go to school someday and I would like to have enough food to eat. And that answer from that child is the beginning and the core of Mary's Meals. Magnus wondered how he could make Edward's dream come true. It was so simple and straightforward. How could Magnus make it come true? And he came up with this idea that if he could bring food into Edward's local school, then Edward would get the food that he was looking for, but also would get the education that would break the cycle of poverty. And so in 2002, Magnus McFarlane Barrow began feeding 200 children in a school in Malawi. And recently our new figures have just come out, and every day Magnus McFarlane Barrow and the Mary's Meals family are feeding 1,361,258 children.
How can you manage to feed a child for €15 and 60 cents a year?
Mary's Meals has a no-frills policy whatsoever, and it's also a community-based programme. Therefore, when we go into a school and are going to provide food for the school, we ask the school very specific questions. They must come up with a rota of people to collect the firewood prepared for the next day. So the school actually provides all the work that is required for the school feeding programme. We also buy in bulk, and we also buy in the communities where the children will be fed. So therefore we're actually also helping the economics of the local school community as well. And we can feed the child for $15.60 by keeping all the frills out and making sure that it's a community based, so that the parents, the grandparents, the brothers and sisters of the children are actually doing all the work involved. And so Mary's Meals can keep it down to a minimum, and thankfully we can do it for $15.60 in a place of education.
That's wonderful. And you have a lot of volunteers, obviously. You have volunteers in all the different countries of the world. How do you raise funds here?
Well, we depend on volunteers because we are a no-frills charity, and we don't like paying for nearly anything. We try and do everything by volunteers. And so, for example, in a country like Malawi, we have 85,000 volunteers alone feeding the children. And all across the world, where we're feeding in the different 1600 countries. That is what we do. So we have lots of volunteers. We raise funds here in this country and in other countries by asking people to volunteer their time and their efforts so that they might stimulate people to give to our worthwhile cause. Mary's Meals are really open to any ideas that will raise funds in a proper and moral way. And so we run table quizzes, we have guest teas, we have church gate collections, we have street collections, we have many different ways where we just ask people to donate to our worthwhile causes. We also have collection boxes that can be left in pubs and clubs and shops, and these are collected every now and again and emptied and given back to the pubs, clubs and shops. We have little cardboard boxes that people use in their own homes where they put in their loose change or a few extra euros, and again this is collected and given to the charity. We also have people who have come up with a lovely idea called Granny's Pennies, when people take in the loose change that might be lying about in the bottom of drawers or in the bottle that hasn't been collected for a long time, and they take it in. Even old coins, we will collect them and we'll take them. Really any idea that people have, we'll be gladly able to use it to raise funds for Mary's Meals.
There's been a lot of publicity, I suppose, with the walk to knock. That is a twofold contribution, has it?
Twofold indeed, it sure has, because the walk to knock, step by step to feed the next child, was started 6 years ago, and it was an idea that we would walk from Malin to Knock, and people from Cork would walk from Cork to Knock, therefore covering the whole country. And the twofold idea was that we would raise funds for Mary's Meals, but also raise awareness of the charity, because everybody who hears of the charity has ideas, and every new volunteer, he or she brings to the table many different thoughts and ideas of raising funds. And thankfully the walk to Knock, step by step to feed the next child, has expanded greatly. And this year just past, we have walked from Malin, from Kilkenny, from Dublin, from Northern Ireland, and from Limerick. So it has really grown, thankfully. And the awareness, because of the step by step to feed the next child, has increased greatly.
So where can people get this information from?
We have an information centre here in Letterkenny, and it's opened every Friday, and people can drop in. It's in the town centre, it's in the shopping centre, and people can drop in and they'll get any information. We also have many posters that people can read the information from. The Mary's Meals website is very good, marysmeals.ie, and we have lots of different bits and pieces of information if you just contact any members of the committee.
Do we have involvement from companies?
Companies around Letterkenny and Donegal in general have been very kind and good to us. For example, Primerica has, just there a few months back, had a great football tournament among the members of the staff and raised funds for Mary's Meals. And this is the second time they've run that. Primerica also have given us a beautiful donation that'll feed quite a number of children for a year in a place of education. Schools also get involved, and lots of different schools around the area have no uniform day, and recently St Eunice College had no uniform day, and they provided us with sizable funds so that we can feed many children for the next year. Also, different schools do the backpack project, and that means that we, instead of throwing away the backpack that they use for day-to-day life in the school, instead of throwing it away after they're finished with it, we ask them to give it to us. And if possible, we ask them to put in a few crayons, a pen, a biro, and these are taken, all sorted out up in Armagh, and then these backpacks are sent out to the schools in the developing world. And it means that they have an opportunity then to learn that little bit better, because no matter how good the teacher is, it's very hard to remember everything, and so they need wee bits and pieces that they're fit to write down with. Also in the backpack we put in a little top for a girl, or a pair of togs for a boy, a pair of flip-flops, some soap, toothpaste and so on. Practical things that will help the hygiene and the running of the school.
Magnus has a book out, I believe. It's, I've been told it's a great read.
Yeah, Magnus wrote this book at the encouragement of different people, so that it's called The Shed That Fed a Million Children. And in this book is a powerful testimony to the work that Magnus has done, but also the Mary's Meals family. And in it he shows both the way money is raised for the charity, but also the way that it is spent in the charity. So we have the donor countries, like Ireland, and we also have the receiving countries, like Malawi, Liberia, and so on. It's a really powerful testimony. It's also a very good love story between himself and his wife Julie, because he met her during one of his trips.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your involvement, and thank you to all who volunteer, and thank you for those who have contributed to this film.
Please join me in honouring CNN hero, and I'm proud that he's a fellow Scotsman, Magnus McFarlane Barrett.
On behalf of the thousands of people all over the world who are working to realise this vision that we have, that every child in the world should be able to receive at least one good meal every day in the place of education.
I was just hoping that I will be free one day, free from hunger.